All right, let's do this thing. You ready?
Yep.
Three, two. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the
Motherfucker.
Fans in Motion podcast, the only podcast you didn't know you needed. I say to my two friends, you can raise the eyes. I can let you go, caught up in the madness of a worn out show. Say hello, Josh.
Have I told you lately that you are a mother bleep? Yeah. This is what he does. Makes me edit. I have to wait a little bit longer. Who else is with us?
Brentry, what's going on, buddy?
I don't know what are you talking about, Josh?
I just told him to when he counts down 5, 4, 3, 2 to give me a little pause in between the two and
Yeah,
talking,
and he
so I don't have
did.
to. He gave 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah. Now you find your
Hey,
spot.
now I gotta sit here and like, when's he going to start? Shit, go back.
Honk.
Yeah. So this is the fun that you get to do when you do a podcast.
Wah,
But
fucking
Brent's a
wah.
little bit under the weather, Andy. Did you hear what happened to him?
Brent has a weird phenomenon happening.
Um,
He's got pepperoni sinuses.
I think I got it.
Is that what
For all
you're,
you don't know,
is
I'm
that what you've
sitting.
been gnawing on?
I thought we were recording at 7 o'clock, and I had the phone sitting next to me, and I see Josh write 6:05, and I thought, oh, we're gonna bump it up. And I look, and I'm like, oh my god, I got 10 minutes, and I got to finish this pizza. And so I was eating the pizza, and the pepperoni was nice and crisp, and I
Shoved it
kind of
up your nose.
no, I had my mouth full and I coughed, and a little piece of pepperoni flaked up
Oh,
in my nasal
our
passages.
This is what
our
they tune in for.
our lady
So
listeners are so getting turned up
I
right now.
have I have my roll of toilet paper here because when it comes out, I'll show it to you.
Please don't.
How do we only have 10 viewers? Um, but look at this. Look at
Less
this.
trousers,
Look at
more
that. Look at
pepperoni.
that. You see that?
You barely
Black on
see it.
black. Black on black.
They should have outlined it.
Look
Yeah,
like it should be like tossing
like
garbage in fucking
like a
Bronx.
gray,
Look like you're from Repo Man or something.
coincidentally.
Subsequently, Bob
Oh,
left
some
the
say
There
room.
we go. There we go. Now fucking everything's back to normal.
That does not make you look like Tom Selleck, no matter how hard you try.
Shit, man. I don't want to look like Tom Selleck. I want to look like TC.
Okay. So, Josh, what are we talking about today? We're rambling on. Is there
Oh,
something Night Ranger related? Are we
See,
discussing?
your opening should have been what the song that we're going to talk about the label releases.
I don't know what you're
When you
talking
need a
about.
friend through thick and thin.
Well, yeah, but I try to keep it. Night Ranger.
But that's kind of related.
Right.
Mm.
So, on this episode of Fans in Motion, the podcast that you did not know you need, today we are talking about the 2023 Night Ranger remastered re-releases from Rock Candy. We got Dawn Patrol, yeah, and Midnight Madness,
Madness.
both remastered and reloaded. Get yours today. Pepperoni
You know,
Sinus.
I was skeptical about getting these because I have a few Rock Candy reissues, and I couldn't tell the difference between the reissue
All right,
and
Brunch. What are you listening
and
to shit on?
no, the
What do you got? You got a
Ace
G
Fairly don't sound any different to me at
you got a
all.
GPX back there somewhere?
But my God, the difference in these compared to the old MCA copies. Oh,
Excuse me.
So this is what I'm going to start everything out with this. If you have a garbage stereo, CD player, garbage in, garbage out. All right. So if you buy this and you've got one of these, you know, little CD players, or you got a shitty CD player in your car,
Realistic by Radio Shack.
you know what? Realistic, some of that shit wasn't too bad. But yes, if you got one of those things that have the cassette player and the record player and the CD player all in one, and like if your cat would knock it off the fucking table, it would bust into 1,000 pieces. you're not going to hear the difference. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't put this in your CD player, play it through garbage, and then oh, I didn't hear a fucking difference. Well, of course you did it, right? Um, so you know, listen, you know, you're never you always want to spend your money on good speakers. Everything else you can kind of have cheap. You always put your money in speakers. I mean, that's where you go. Um, and I don't know what you guys are listening to it on, but I've got it. I listened to one record going through some early 80s Sony speakers that stand about as tall as me. They're fucking beautiful. Love them.
Yeah.
And then the other record I listened to through a Techniques sound system or a stereo system that I bought um, from like 1992, I think. But the guy I bought them from had like the invoice. It's just crazy. 1992, this thing was $1,800, right? And he's moving. And I think I bought it off of him for $50.
Uh,
And I don't think he knew he had the invoice till I was, kind of taking the cabinet and, oh, what's this? He's, oh shit, that's, like instruction manuals and stuff like that. But so yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If you don't have good speakers, come talk to me. Some people have. Old Dave Nadelman and I went through a whole system. Speakers are the most important. Um, and after that, probably your turntable. If you're into vinyl, turntable and receiver. If you got a shitty receiver, your receiver's not going to push everything to the speakers. So, um,
so what you're saying is you need to go buy a good unit.
yeah, definitely. Vintage. It's
Not a little boom box you bought at Walmart.
No,
Go
and
get some components.
and I'll tell you, I usually go vintage, but I do have some newer speakers, but I still tend to go vintage. One thing I go newer with, which is weird, is receivers. Like I have vintage receivers, but I like the new one. Like there's a Sony out there about $180. It pushes everything loud. Uh, it's got, your, hookup for your turntable. It's got, different, other inputs, and it's got Bluetooth, which is nice, just to
Mhm.
be, if you just need something real quick, you can just switch it to Bluetooth and be playing through there. Um, so one system I have is all vintage, except for the receiver. And I used to have newer speakers on it, but I got those big ass Sonys.
Yeah.
So I put those on there. So the newer ones are upstairs. So I basically got four. And if you look behind me, this thing right here, this is another vintage Techniques stereo system. I don't even really mess with it right now, but um,
Yeah, we
the-
can't see it. Your
yeah,
microphone's
yeah,
blocking it.
these speakers, like this is the speaker here, so you can see how tall it is. Um, Motherfuckers are loud.
Yeah.
That's probably why I don't use it. It's a little bit too loud. It's like shit. I got to hang everything back up on my walls. Um, but when I tested it out, first Damn Yankees cassette. That's what I used.
Nice.
Andy, what was that Bose thing you and I went to? What was that thing called? Uh, Remember when we went to the Bose presentation?
Now, do
Yeah.
you guys like Bose?
Yeah, I have
I
a Bose system downstairs.
I don't recall. I know
You don't remember shit.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's-
I used to back in the day, Josh, you'll appreciate this. I worked at Circuit City.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I worked at Sun TV.
oh nice.
Yeah.
So we were able to get a discount, and I had a massive, beautiful system, Onkyo. I bought all the
Onkyo.
individual components. Everything was separate. And our DCM speaker rep came in and he said, "Hey, I'm making a deal with anybody that wants them. We're closing out a series of speakers. You can buy a complete surround sound system of speakers." And they were tower. The big speakers were this tall. I mean, they were 4 feet tall. $300. So I bought the speakers. I mean, I had this just great system. Overall, it's probably at the time would have cost somewhere around $2,000. And once CD technology came and all that, and you got everything in little bookshelf speakers and systems, I got rid of it all. And I kick myself daily because, like I told you before we started, I don't have a CD player in my house. I had to go in my car to listen to the CDs. I don't have a.
You have a Blu-ray or DVD player that works.
Yeah, but
Through
again,
what, my TV
yeah,
speakers?
yeah, again, you
Well,
know.
no, if you hook it up to us.
Now, what I would tell
But I'm
you,
saying I don't have a system. I don't have anything. I have my iPhone.
what I would tell you to do is go on, as much as I hate them, and I had to get off because I was buying. If you go over to this next room, I literally could not with speakers, okay, but with components, I could make you probably 7 receiver, cassette deck,
Yeah.
um, tuners, or what, I don't know, like the mix, board.
The EQs, the
Yeah.
equalizer.
And the what I say, receiver, cassette deck, CD player. I have that many because if I'm out like at a thrift shop
Pick one up.
and
Yeah.
it's $5, like
Yeah.
I just bought a Sony 5 deck for $5, $6, and I'm like, I just can't pass it up. It's like Casablanca on DVD. I own 50 fucking copies of the motherfucker just because I'm like, I can't. I just bought one again the other day for $1. I'm like, so hey, if you ever out, you ever need a copy of Casablanca on DVD, just let me know. I'll
Well,
bring
that
one
being
to the show.
said, so right down the street from me is here in Nashville is a used bookstore called McKay's. It's got like a half price books, but I think there's only 2 or 3 locations. They're just here in Tennessee. But they have a whole section of components. And
They've
I
got
go up there, I look at them, and they're not too bad. Like you can get like a receiver for like $50. It's not
that's
bad.
too much.
And I'm thinking, man, I could. And they have a lot of like the old Onkyo, like the stuff I had. I'm like, I could probably rebuild my system for a couple $100.
Yeah, I mean that should. I mean the real good vintage stuff. I mean you're looking at 300, $500
Yeah.
for a receiver. You're talking about the shit that had like tubes in it, right? And you
Not
kick
me,
it.
not on that, but yeah.
Yeah, but so some of that shit's really expensive.
I mean,
Well,
Brett
that's
and I
what
grew up in that.
And I'm
Our
not
era was those tower systems. Remember they were in a cabinet with a glass
yeah,
door?
that's
Mhm.
what I'm talking
Like
about too.
Pioneer. My brother
Yeah.
was a big Pioneer guy.
I love Pioneer. To me,
No, I'm-
to me, Pioneer and Sony and Techniques, it's just no matter what you get, those ones always come through. But go on Facebook Marketplace and
Yeah, I've looked. Yeah.
and you can usually buy them all together. Like the Techniques there and this one here, I bought all together, less than $50 for the speakers, the case, everything, the stand, and everything. It just less than $50, and I think I got an 18 lunchbox too, because he had that sitting off to the side. I'm like, "You getting rid of that?" And he goes, "Yeah, you can have." I was like, "I'll give $5 for it." Shit, a little 18 lunchbox action,
I
but
pity the fool that let that go.
but I had to stop because I was fucking buying. Again, I was buying this shit. Like I bought, and she didn't have speakers, but she had all Sony components. And I meet this girl in this fucking dingy garage, right? Like I hope I leave with 2 kidneys. Uh, but yeah, her boyfriend from South Carolina, they'd broken up, and his shit was in there forever, and she was done with it. And $25, I get nice vintage Sony.
Put that shit in my hand.
Yep. Hopefully he's not a listener. That
what I was gonna say before you guys
fucker,
change my Bose story.
Yeah. So what happened with Bose?
Bose Acoustic Wave is what Andy and I went to see.
Andy, did you remember seeing that? And by the way, where else did you go?
We had to have an appointment through WOW, and I got an appointment. And you and I went out by Tri-County to see this in this little office room, and they had a box in front of it, and we could hear it. And when they pulled the box up, because it sounded, the room was full.
Fills
The
the
thing was
room.
like that, $1,000 for a little teeny radio about this big. And I remember people just writing checks, buying that. And Andy
Yeah, I
and I
know.
looked at each other thinking,
Yeah.
we can't afford that.
My dad has one of
$1,000.
those acoustic waves. They're pretty nice. I wouldn't spend the money on it, but it's pretty sharp.
Anyway,
He likes
you were there.
I'm about 50% with Bose. Like I had a pair of Bose speakers, tower
It's
speakers,
just good. It's good marketing.
and I just never liked them. I eventually gave them to my brother.
If you were a fan of Paul Harvey,
Yeah.
he
Bose
always, you
acoustic
want to
wave.
get a Bose, you never find a better stereo system. You never have a better neighbor than a Walmart.
but the Beast has Bose, and those are fucking excellent. So
Yeah.
50-50 on those. So
Hey, this is pretty riveting. What else we got?
last November we had these released. We have the Dawn Patrol, Midnight
what-
Madness, and we'll go through those. They have like the liner notes and everything else with them, but there's also the other releases that they've had for Night Ranger related, Damn Yankees, Shaw Blade. So we'll look at those as well. Now, Brent, I think you mentioned that you had a couple of the Ace Frehley ones, correct?
Yeah.
So there's Second Sighting.
I don't have that one. I had trouble walking.
So with these, usually what's cool is they'll put the hype sticker actually on the CD and not on the cellophane. So you don't
Yeah.
have to try to rip it off. If you're a collector, they kind of realize. So and then what they're really known for, besides the remastering, is the booklet. They will have a 3,500 word booklet. And it's usually really good stuff most people won't know. Um, so with Ace Frehley, you got Second Sighting and you got Trouble Walking. Now, sometimes Rock Candy will do bonus tracks if they can. Neither of these have a bonus track on it. An album everybody should own.
I have the original version of that on CD.
I got the original too, brother. But yeah, you got to have this as well, just because it's remastered. All right, so this is the Scream album, came out in 1991. Great record. Basically features John Corabi, who Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee heard him singing, and that's what got him into the crew and on the great record released in 1994. This does have a lot of bonus tracks on it, so they don't really so there's 12 tracks on the original. They put 13 songs on this record. They don't label the 13th song as a bonus track, but it's a song called Young and Dumb, which isn't on the original record, but it was on the Encino Man soundtrack. There's a Night Ranger Damn Yankees connection there. And then the bonus tracks on here are bonus tracks live at the Marquee Club, Orange County, Los Angeles, 1992. So they have 5 songs from the record and an Aerosmith cover, Lick and a Promise. So you got the Scream. Now, some of these, I don't know if they're just ones that came out earlier, but they don't have the hype sticker. Now, the one good thing is it's easy. Like if you got like 2,000 CDs like I do, if you look on the side there, all their CDs have this little, I don't know what the fuck it is, like a beaver
Skull.
skull or something. So you can find them right away. But here's Y&T, and they do have a bonus track on here, Somebody for Me. So Black Tiger. I think they also did
Now, is that on the Unearthed as well? I have the Unearthed stuff. Volumes 1 and 2.
I do not know.
Here, what's the song called?
Somebody for Me.
I'm gonna check it out and see.
Hey, I give while you guys are looking at stuff, I'll give Rock Candy a lot of props, man. They're really good at what they do. They cannot make Ace Frehley sound any better, though.
What are you talking
Trouble
about?
Walking is one of the
They sh-
greatest
they
Ace
should-
albums ever.
What are
Call
you
that
talking
thing
about, Curly?
Trouble Singing.
A band,
I love Ace. He's just not a great singer.
a very underrated. I think Lance Rushing likes this record a lot. Diving for Pearls was a band that came out 89, if I remember correctly. How this comes into the Night Ranger world was this is one of the first bands that David Prater produced. So if you like, that 80s hard rock and you're wanting something new, Go check out Diving for Pearls.
Do you remember what we learned from that unreleased episode of David Prater for that album?
I learned a lot of things. I remember.
No, but about diving for pearls.
I don't remember. I
The
guess.
guitar player sometimes acted. He had a couple friends in Hollywood, and he was on the Seinfeld episode to when Jerry didn't want to, or Kramer didn't want to wear the ribbon, and it was for like gay pride or what have you, or a walk. And he's in a leather coat and his hair's pulled back, greased back. He's like, "Why don't you want to wear the ribbon?" That's the guitar player for Diving for Pearls.
There you go. Is it this guy there? There's a guy with the slick back hair. I don't know.
Probably, I couldn't tell you which
Um,
one, but he's
Now,
yeah.
when you said actor, I remember the Seinfeld
Yeah.
came up in that. So, but this has 5 bonus tracks as well. The looks like they were demos and a couple live tracks. And then I don't know if you guys remember this young lady.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love this take. No. Wait, not Soraya. But I remember Fiona.
She has a duet on here with Kip Winger. Everything you do, you're sexing me.
Ooh,
That could be fucking Brent's fucking
it's his theme song.
theme song.
Sounds
Not
like
with
a
Kip.
Sounds like a Paul Stanley lyric.
Not with Kiplinger.
But anyways, Fiona, I don't know if it'll tell me right away, but the Night Ranger connection, if it will tell me exactly.
The Cincinnati connection is we got a
uh,
hippo named Fiona at our
That's,
zoo.
that's what I was gonna go with, but I thought I'd let it.
one song was produced by Keith Olsen, who produced Man in Motion.
Great Man in Motion. You should always lead with that.
The
Logo
great
Productions, is that right?
anyways, Brad Gillis plays a solo on here. So
He's pretty good.
musicians, singers, etc. Brad Gillis, Jamie Hunting from Union right there behind you. Rod Morgenstein, which was in Winger. Weasel Zappa. So anyways,
The Weasel Bobby.
so this would have been right after, Night Ranger
Weez and the
broke up.
Jews.
And Brad Gillis making an appearance, getting some studio work in, a little bit of cash. Now we go to the Night Ranger related releases. And here is one of them.
I didn't know that was out. Josh, you were telling me about that yesterday. You and I were talking. I was like, damn, now that I will pick up. I mean, does it? What's the sound on? I mean, what was needed to be
honestly
improved?
don't know if I can remember.
You're taking me.
It's probably going to be louder. It's probably
One
and
Just one.
because 95, they're still still have that little bit of dullness in the sound. So, but unfortunately, I don't know more than that.
That was
Great
a full
CD,
digital
though.
recording, if I remember right. Am I correct on that?
Originally, right?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah, they were in a full swing, probably of digital. Everything was digital back then. We hadn't had this retro analog.
I mean, the only thing I can tell you here is mastered in high definition by John Astley for close to the edge mastering, an audio file recording from the original master, sound shaped from 24-bit digital tools via our technology. So
Now, I will tell you this: I went to order that right before Christmas, because Amazon had lowered them to $9.99,
Oh wow!
and the day I went to order it, they were sold out.
Oh, lousy Amazon.
now
But-
there is no bonus tracks on here. But you can see the expanded booklet.
I thought that had bonus tracks on it.
I thought it would have the 2 bonus tracks from
Yeah.
Japan, but it
I
did
thought
not.
it did.
So you can see, and here's the thing too, is they actually, I think, talked to Jack and Tommy about this record. So a lot of the stuff in here is, straight from them. I'll just read. So for The Night Goes On, which we did exactly that, taking inspiration from Bad Company. I also think some of the vocals on Don't Talk to Me Anymore were done the same way. Staring up at the stars at night. That was the great thing with Don. He'd take these ideas on board and wasn't merely locked into the conventional ways of doing things. They talked to Michael Cardelloni, who played on the record. Steve Smith from Journey played on the record. Steve Smith, here's a little bit of him talking. Jack and I used to be neighbors in Marin County region of California. I moved there in September of 78 when I joined Journey. Jack literally lived around the corner from me and was in a band called Rubicon, who eventually became Night Ranger. And we always stayed in touch. They talk about the sessions. Here's a Damn Yankees photo of Jack. Can you still hear me? I hit a button.
Yeah.
And they talk about a lot of the recording. Here is another
Jack's studio.
I think that's been colorized. It's at least something different there. Another picture, Jack and Tommy. And there's a picture of Tommy. Now, in the original booklet, do you remember the photo of there's two kids, two young kids playing guitar?
Yeah, is his kids?
So I didn't ask Jack about it. I should have. But remember, I was telling you off air where me and Jack were listening to this in the car and he was thumbing through the booklet. He got to that photo. Okay. It's a photo of Jack and Tommy as kids, right?
Oh, okay.
And,
Wow.
black and white. And I always, I know they didn't know each other as kids, right? So that's Photoshop. That's Jack and his brother. And they photoshopped Tommy's face on there. This is before Photoshop. They did a
I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
They did a really good job on it. But I always wanted to ask him and I never did, and just happened to get lucky that he was thumbing
I
through
don't
that.
remember that. I mean, clearly, that's not a shock.
Oh shit. Well, right here, Brett. They put it.
He's gone.
That's where they put it. So you can see that's Jack and Tommy, and that's Jack's original photo. And so you can see how you can't tell where the, so that's Jack, and then Tommy's, the one higher up.
Sitting there.
Hey, Brett, I found it. It's on
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
It's on the CD tray.
Oh, it's in the tray.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an original. That original picture.
Not in the original one. It's not.
Well, I'm saying that's the original photo of Jack and his brother, and they put Tommy's face on there. Like I said, they did such a good job. I'd never.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're right. Well, this one's black and white. That picture.
Yeah, that one's color. I was like, it didn't seem like.
Well, it was probably color to begin with, Okay, here's.
Yeah, so you can see the book's entirely different, and that photo is actually on the tray of the new one. So, and I'll read to you what the hype sticker of this Shaw Blaze release. Collector's edition, mastered in high definition. Night Ranger and Styx pair go wild in the country. Co-produced by Don Gaiman, Jack Blaze, Shaw, includes these songs. 16-page full-color booklet, 4,000-word essay with new interviews, enhanced artwork, and previously unseen photos. The next one you got in the Night Ranger world is Damn Yankees from 1990. Oh.
Now, that's got a bonus track, don't it?
It's the first CD I ever bought.
The bonus track is Bone Stripper, which originally appeared on the Nothing But Trouble soundtrack. Nothing But Trouble is a weird ass movie, by the way.
It was a weird ass movie.
If you ever, have a problem like jerking off and like you want to stop, just put on the Dan Aykroyd scenes in that movie, man. That guy he's like the rotting judge. It's just a weird ass movie. Tupac's in it. That's kind of cool.
Is he really?
Yeah. It was a what the fuck was his rap band with Flavor Flav?
Tupac Shaker?
He was in Digital Underground.
Yeah, Digital Underground. That's what it is.
I'm the one who said grab Run the Biscuit.
So So Damn Yankees, fully remastered audio, includes bonus track Bone Stripper, which I originally think if you go back to our Damn Yankees episode where we break down that record, I think that song was originally titled not, I want to say This Side of Hell, but that's on the Don't Tread. Something Hell's Kitchen, I think is what it was called. And I think Hell's Kitchen morphed into Bone Stripper. But
Interesting.
so anyways, it does have that Bone Stripper bonus track. Like I said, it was on the movie Nothing But Trouble. Anything else in here? Let's see here. Yeah, we'll get the booklet out, see what we got. Anything good. So there's, classic photo there.
Rock and roll outlaws, man.
And that's a Keel song they covered by Rose Tattoo.
Tedley
On the-
von
Something Ted.
Musenberger. I think this is more of a Don't Tread era photo. Ron Nevison's who they talked to in here.
Well, at least he did something.
So here's a little tidbit on. The man chosen to produce the vital debut album was Ron Nevison, who seemed very suited to the task given his track record of working with the likes of Led Zeppelin, Bad Company, UFO, and Ozzy. However, Nugent had his own amusing explanation for choosing Ron to produce this most American of bands. We were doing charity work for a homeless rehab shelter, recognized Ron, and immediately came to his brotherly aid. His track record is Thor-like, so he qualified as a genuine Damn Yankees sonic bombast teammate. Blades, though, has a more straightforward explanation for the choice. Now, if you would listen to our Big Life episode, you would know this. Ron was supposed to do the fourth Night Ranger album, but something went wrong and it didn't happen, which that would have been Big Life. We all loved his work with other bands. Also, Warner Brothers wanted some adult in charge because nobody had any idea how it would work with all of us in the studio. Ron had tons of hit records and he was used to working with a lot of crazy egos. Ron was our guy from the very first moment. So there, you get those types of interviews. Here's photo I've never seen before besides in this booklet, Jack and Tommy. So there you go. That's the first Damn Yankees record on Rock Candy. There you go. Sounds like a bunch of Damn Yankees to me.
Now, wasn't Ron doing the Heart album at the time?
Ron did Heart. No, well,
Well,
it might be
I-
Crazy Nights. If they're
um,
recording in '86, Ron recorded Crazy Nights. Now that might have been early
Crazy
'87.
Night started like in '87, early
Well,
'87, because it
yeah.
came out, September
Yeah,
'87?
I think all the records came out in September back in. But so yeah, I mean, it could be Heart. It could be, the Kiss. I mean,
I thought it was Heart. I thought that's what he was doing.
well, yeah, I know he did Heart around there, but and then you got Don't Tread, no hype sticker. Now this does have bonus tracks. It has Where You Going Now live and High Enough live. Now those tracks, you can find those live versions on the European singles. So they're not really new if you're a collector, but you can get them on here. So Where You Going Now live and High Enough are the bonus tracks on the Don't Tread.
Now,
So
what you haven't said is, how do they all sound?
listen, I didn't sit down
Well, but I
and
mean, just from your
um,
recollection, I mean, I know
usually what I notice on these is the bass and drums.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember thinking, wow, I don't hear much of a difference. Right. Now I didn't sit down and make notes like I did on these new Night Ranger albums. But um, usually the bass and the drums are a little bit higher in the mix. And like with Shaw Blades, it's just A lot of times, like with acoustics, like it seems like they bring the chords out more. So if you're playing a chord, then certain like individual notes, it's always the individual notes that you hear. And the chords just kind of like are in the background, being held out. And I tend to think like on the acoustic songs for Shaw Blades, you could hear those chords a little bit more. And the same thing, like it's the same thing on Play Rough on these new ones. You know, dun, 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 dun,
The
dun.
picking.
Okay, the plucking, the picking, but on the new remasters, the chords that they play at the beginning of each measure actually ring out. You can hear them ringing out, and then the actual individual notes being played over it, which you always hear, but you can actually hear the chord that's played at the very beginning ringing out over that. So with acoustics, that's kind of what I remembered off of Shaw Blades. With this,
Pepperoni.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was a anchovy, but with these, it's generally and um the bass and the drums. But you also got to remember, these albums I think were produced and are just a little bit better audio than what you were getting 10
Early
years
night range.
early.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Um, and then with the Ace Frehley, I mean, you're just, you're trying to polish a turd. Um, now this isn't a remaster, but
That's what I was trying to say.
Trouble
this
Walking is a freaking incredible album. Period.
I
I'm
like
not saying it's a bad album.
I like Trouble Walking. It's all right. I mean, it's Ace, right? It's one of his better albums,
It's
but
yeah.
but like for Ace, Five Card Stud, that's a good song. Now for any other band, it's all right, But when I saw him back in 2014, they opened with Five Card Stud.
Written by
Well, Reggie Scarlett.
Mark Ferrari of Keel.
Nah, don't care. All right. So, anyways, we're talking about Rock Candy, but I saw this and I wanted to get it because Don't Tread has been released on another label since Warner Brothers and Rock Candy. So if you look at it, it looks the same, but this is the only difference. So you see Damn Yankees Don't Tread there, right? That's not on the original release. It didn't have a see-through tray. On the back, it's totally different. I'll hide a couple things here. So you can see it's just the sky and everything. I think on the back of the regular CD from Warner Brothers and everything.
Let me go get them. They're just right on the other side of this wall. I'll be
hold
back.
on. I think it's this right here kind of picture on the back, but it's them in the pickup truck. All right. You can go get it if you want, but that's the picture. So you have that. So it's a different photo. But like I said, if you're ever out and you see, oh, I got 18 copies of this. If you see that, this is the one you want to get, and I'll show you the back of it when Brent gets back here. God, did you ever know there's so many Night Ranger nerds out there, Andy, that love this shit?
Well, if you look at the numbers of our page, I would. It's still. I mean, humbly,
No, we're getting to 10,000.
It really. I mean, I say this in all honesty. It really astonishes me. Because again, I still come from that mindset where I still feel like I was the only one me and Brent and maybe you were holding that candle for him, and then,
well,
I've got all kinds of friends now that I never knew I needed.
The thing is, you had Brent. Like I never had anybody growing up.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the cover. That's what's on the back. So this is the back that you'll see for this, and then look at the label. Collectibles. And what's their website?
Oldies.com.
So yeah, collectible oldies are reissuing, and this was reissued in 2003. It looks like
I hate to hear that as oldies.
It was from Rhino, so it's a branch of Rhino. But anyways, yeah, if you want a copy, go to oldies.com. You can get that and the best of the platters. All right, so here we are with the two new releases. Dink a dink a dink a dink a dink a dink a dink. All right. So
And let me say, I didn't get these until I talked to Dave Nadelman
And neither of you
and
fuckers did. I couldn't get an episode
Brent,
done. I had to
because Brent got them. Nadelman said they're really good, and then I talked to Brent, and Brent's like, because I said, do I need to get them? I mean, is it
Or
that
wait,
dramatic? And
wait.
Brent said,
the Dahlman.
yeah, Nadalman. Yeah, I mean, you know me, I always mispronounce names.
What did I say since you don't remember anything?
Well, I remember, I don't remember the wording, but I remember I asking you, are these worth it? And you're like, yeah, you're gonna love them, get them. And I just went and bought them. Like after I got off the phone with Brian, I just ordered them and got them. And
Yeah.
and
I told you I had not heard things on certain songs in my life until I got those CDs.
well, pleasantly surprised because we all have talked about the early albums sounded so thin and tinny and not
Well,
mastered well.
And my doubt on these was, since we had spoken about the Universal Fire, and granted these aren't remixed, they're remastered. From what you even thought, Josh, all the original tapes were burned up. So whatever they did to purify the sound on these things and bring it up.
Lake
They dipped him in
Titicaca.
Lake Minnetonka.
Well,
Josh and I went to the same spot.
Yeah. Well, I know originally I had these, and I was like, let's do an episode, and like, I
We didn't
think
have
Brent had one, you had none. I'm like, all right, well, thank
I
God.
was waiting on the other one for a month and a half to get delivered.
Yeah, whatever. Mine.
I had the audio though.
Hell man, find me. All right. So the first record, bam, here we go. A collector's edition, remastered and reloaded. Fully remastered audio, one of the finest AOR debut albums of all time. Yeah, that's about right. Produced by Pat Glasser. Includes Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, and Can't Find Me a Thrill. Cupcakes.
I'm trying to figure out what the other band is. It's Jafria and what?
Refugee.
Okay.
I don't know who the fuck Refugee is.
Well, they were worth putting on here.
Anyway, 16-page full color booklet, 4,500 word essay with new band interviews, enhanced artwork, and previously unseen photos. So here's the back of the record. If you go back to our Kelly Kagi interviews, he talks about this photo shoot. So here is the actual disc. Simple. I love it.
Yeah.
Here is the tray. Also available, Midnight Madness. Reissue credits. Seeing if there's anything really new in there. Now, they talked to Jack Kelly, Brad, and John Van Nest, who did the original mastering on the record. Night Ranger would like to think this is from the original album, by the way. Gary Peel, Ozzy and Sharon, Sammy Hagar, and all the friends on Boardwalk. But yeah, so there you go. Take this out here. We'll see what we. So, I really like this is why they need to talk to one of us. Why do we got Big Life, Greatest Hits?
Yeah, exactly right.
Dawn Raiders. Talks a little bit about Rubicon. Bradley Gillis. Let's see here. They talk about Stereo. Stereo played new wave music, really. We had a lot in common with Blondie, The Cars, and Duran Duran, but a lot of the songs, which wound up on the first Night Ranger album, did have its origins with this band. One of these was Penny, which you would have known that before this record if you were to listen to our interview with Johnny Cola from Huey Lewis in the News, who was in the last incarnation of Rubicon and was in an early version of Stereo singing on some demos. Things changed in the music business by the time we toured for that second Rubicon record. Adds Keggy, everybody wanted punky, more modern bands. We tried to fit into what the labels wanted by becoming stereo. Um, strangely, we came across these tapes not long ago. They're on 8-track and reel to reel. One song I know we had back then was called Diary of a Madman, which, we have posted on the page. There is a live video of that. So, I think stereo lasted a little bit more than 6 months before we gave up on that idea. So, it's good information stuff in there. Picture Jeffrey Watson. They talk about doing the demos in Gary Peel's home studio. Alan Fitzgerald knew him. The 4 tracks done during this session were Let Him Run, Penny, Sister Christian, and Hang On, which, if some of you don't know, Hang On was a song on their original demo, just like I said here. Never made it on the first record. It's on High Road, right?
Yeah.
It's on High Road. They just kept the chorus. The verses are different. I think Kelly talks about that in one of our interviews we did with him. If not, I do remember him, must have been, it's either on the interview or we were talking about it. And I remember him talking about showing it to his dad and his dad really liking the lyrics and stuff to that song. So there you go. You get stuff like that. They talk more about the the demo and stuff that they did. They talk about the recording sessions.
What I remember most from that interview is him talking about the demos, and one of us said, "You need to release this." Nobody wants to hear that.
Oh, they say that all
Remember
the
when?
fucking
Yeah,
time. I remember.
nobody wants.
I don't know. I was talking to Kelly one of the first times I ever really talked to him, and I think we were talking about 7 Wishes, and I was asking like if there's any demos, and nobody wants that stuff. Like it's just sitting out there, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. And like from their viewpoint, it's like, when it's all said and done, right? If someone's going to go out and find Sentimental Street, they don't want them finding some shitty demo of it, right? They want them listening to how they, wanted it to be and not some shitty demo. My response is, well, fuck those guys, right?
Yeah, but
They they can't
I
search they can't search better on YouTube and not to get the demo.
yeah, I'm a fan of watching and seeing how the song progresses. I love
Mm-hmm.
hearing demos of songs, and you hear the finished version, like, wow, that's interesting to see the progress, or to see even what a producer does when they get it in the studio. The producer goes,
Well,
yeah,
Well,
like this is what we brought in, and this is what it came out.
or
well,
you'll hear a song where it's 3 different songs in one. Lyrically, it's 2 songs, but the music is a totally different song.
Yeah.
That
But I mean, that's something. I mean, I just love that stuff.
someone who really hates demos, I just know from interviews and stuff, and just hanging out with him. Roger Daltrey from the Who guy, he's like, he doesn't really have any control over it, but he would never release a demo at all.
Really?
And then if you really want to see what a producer does or how songs really change, go find the demo for Kickstart My Heart. It's basically the same song, and they've put it on like their remaster, reissues and stuff, like Crucial Crew and everything. They've put it on as a bonus track, so it's out there. But Kickstart My Heart, right? Like you, even to this day, you put it on, you fucking get a little bit of lead in your foot. Your car's going a little bit faster than it should, right? That song's got such power. Listen to the demo.
Really?
All right. One, the verses are okay, but it gets to the chorus. And we know the chorus has got that, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
On the demo, it's not that. It's,
Uh-huh.
ooh, ah.
yeah, I have heard that.
And I might have done it more manly right there than what's on the demo. And also look at the, and it was always in interviews. I remember Nikki talking about Dr. Feelgood in interviews. Because remember, that's the first album they did with Bob Rock. And they're, usually like, well, what's the difference with working on Bob Rock? And he talked about bringing Dr. Feelgood in. and Bob took him to the side and said, "These lyrics are not good enough. You've got to change them." Now you're talking to someone that's got 4 big albums in the 80s, right? You know, they're just coming off Theater of Pain and Shout the Devil and Girls Screw Girls. And it's the first, you know, you got to change these. But when you hear the original lyrics, you know, and that's out there as well, you get, you know, why Bob Rock was. But, you know, that's what good producers do. You know, I mean, think how great Metallica was. And then you take that greatness and you make the Black Album. Now you always get the, you know, the people out there, I know Masters of Puppets. Yeah, I fucking love Masters of Puppets too, but you can't deny the greatness of the Black record. All right.
You hear that?
No.
Oh.
I unfortunately can hear you.
I not as big as Crew and all that, but I've even posted on my personal Facebook page the demo version of Smooth Up from Bullet Boys, who I'm a fan of. And it's you can hear the song. You can hear you can hear where the genesis of it, but the finished version is so rocking. But I love it. You know, Mick Sweet actually he posted it. He's like, "Oh my God, look what I found! This is our demo of this song."
Yeah, I mean,
again,
and demos.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and demos are, I mean, that's all it is. It's your, you know, your first crack
Yeah,
at it. You
that's my
know,
rough draft. I'm bringing that in.
you know, as you know, on tape, and you know that's, you know, all I'm sure, you know, obviously there's, you know, there's other tons of those stories could be with a tons of other songs. You know, we just don't know. I mean, Don't Tell Me You Love Me could have been, you know, they could have had a ska part in the middle of it or something. You know, Fitz
Man,
kind of said, "Hey guys, let's drop that." But yeah, so back to the booklet here. You know, again, they talk about Brad talks about you know, talks about the recording studio. You got a picture of Kelly there. They talk about a little bit of Kagi going with Ozzy. Um,
I mean, Gillis.
or yeah, whatever, one of those guys. So Blades, though, had his own personal situation to face. My wife was pregnant at the time with our second son. I flew home to San Francisco for the weekend when the baby was due, but nothing happened. So I flew back to LA to carry on recording, um, and no word of a lie. I got off the plane, went to the studio. As I walked in, the receptionist was there holding the phone in her hand. She said to me, "It's for you." It was my wife who told me her water had just broken. I turned right around, got on the next flight to San Francisco. My son was born at 2:30 a.m. and at 9 a.m. I was on the plane heading for the studio. It was an insane time. So you get, like I said, you just get some cool stories. Like now here's a photo I've never seen. I don't know if it's a
yeah.
still or something, but you know, Jack and Brad being really happy. Um, so yeah, I mean, here's another picture of Brad not as happy. Um, you know, but yeah, so the booklets are great. The audio is great. Now I took some time and listened to these and made some notes. I'm sure Andy and Brent did as well. So,
Exactly that. Yeah.
so just some little things. So I think it's a little important to like, again, I talked a little bit about my 2 stereos I played these on. I got a turntable in the living room, but not a CD player. So Dawn Patrol I listened to upstairs with the Techniques. Um, and I'm a little bass heavy on that one. So so I if you're looking at your bass, it would be probably on it it would be like over to the right to a 2. I always just do it as a clock, right? So in this case it does match up, you know, if you take it over to the right to a 2, but as if you looked at it as a clock, um it would be 2 p.m., 2 o'clock. The treble I have as a 1 to the left, or 11 p.m. All right. So basically, the trebles turned down from a little bit in the balance, and the bass is turned up. So that is kind of how I had it going. Now, don't tell me you love me. The first thing I noticed, dun dun dun, was the fucking kick drum.
Yeah.
They've turned that kick drum up to where, when that dun dun dun, you can feel that fucking kick drum hit you. I mean, that was right away. First thing
That's kind of my takeaway. I mean, I listened to him in my
don't
car
be
today
stealing my fucking notes.
driving to work. I got it written down. I can show
Yeah,
you.
I don't think he uses the kick drum in that beginning part. That's just Tom's.
Well, no, what I'm saying is my point is the drums are very prominent. They're very punchy. And as a drummer, I love it. I mean, that's the way I think all mixes should be.
now listen, you guys are the drummers, so you're so you're probably wrong. It probably is actually the kick drum. Because the rest of us out here in the world are musicians. But regardless of
How
what it is, I
dare
mean,
you.
I don't know if it's a combination of floor tom, kick drum, whatever. All I know is the motherfucker's turned up, and
Mhm.
you
It's
feel
there.
that boom. And even going into the verses, that kick drum is pretty prominent. Again, now just overall, the bass is higher, the drumming's higher. If you want to hear Jax playing, you want to get these records and get nice speakers. Because all of Jack's playing is higher, but I'll pinpoint some places really to look at. One thing I noticed there is, how it breaks out of the chorus or the guitar solo. You love me, you love you. It's always had that highness,
Mhm.
There's something more there. I can't explain it, but
It's deeper sounding.
there's more there. Deeper, however you want it. To me, I could just hear, maybe if there were 3 voices, I could hear 5 now. I don't know what it is, but there's something
Yeah.
there. So that's what I had, from Don't Tell Me You Love Me Now. If I'm going to keep going to songs. So if there's something you guys want to inject on the song, just, chime in. So Sing Me Away. One
The
thing
keyboards. Oh, the
dur-
keyboards sound great on that album. That song.
the keys during the verses, especially,
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
is more prominent. So you just hear the keys more than you would probably the guitars that you would in the other mix. And then during the I think it was more like the second verse. I seem like there's a couple times, and I went back and listened to a couple of them. It seems like they would build some stuff up bass wise or drum wise in the second verse, or not the second verse, the second chorus, and not build it up as much in the first chorus or the third chorus. But the bass during the solo, or going through the second chorus into the solo, you just never really heard that as prominent as I did on here. And rightfully so. I mean, in those original mixes that weren't that great, I mean, the guitar solo in Sing Me Away is one of the best guitar solos in the Night Ranger
Hmm.
catalog. So, of course, that's going to be higher in the mix. Um, but in this case, you got those solos, and then you hear Jack just playing in the background, and it starts really in that second chorus going into the solo. I just heard, like I said, Jack's playing, just really sticking out. But like I said, Brent said, the keyboard, especially during the verses, just jump
Well,
out of that song.
you can hear them. What would you call it? Would you call it um
I think to me, in the original,
the sustain,
well,
the
yes, well, the sustain, or I kind of call it, a lot of times,
the
you play a, like Paul Stanley does it a lot, especially live, plays a chord, right? and lets it ring, just lets it ring out, and
Right.
to where a lot of these mixes, like on this, you would hear, dun 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 dun, but you might hear these keyboards or maybe Jack's bass hold out. The notes are actually held out, and those are brought up. So like not necessarily so much, I think, in this song, to where sometimes I dream on for hours. Dun, dun, dun. You hear Kelly's voice, and you hear that guitar chugging along. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To where this actually has these keyboard parts that are back there, and they're brought up. Um,
They're
I
more
mean,
prominent than they
yeah.
once were.
So, um, so with the next song, At Night She Sleeps, I don't really listen to that song too much, but uh the Are You Sleeping? Are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
Before it starts, there's some ones that aren't as high on the regular version, regular version. You definitely hear those. Like I remember the first time I got the record, I had it on and another thing I would tell you to do too is listen to it. Like I had it on one time. I was in the kitchen. I had it on in the bedroom. Now I got nice speakers so I could hear it, but it blocks out some of the stuff, and like it was basically vocals and Jack's bass, and I'm just hearing Jack do everything going.
Yeah.
And so that's why I tell you another thing is, but don't just put it on and listen to it right in front. Um, put it on in the background. That's how I heard, wait a second, that kicked in a couple bars early. And I'm like, well, no, that was always there, but it was just never as prominent. And also how your speakers are set up is another thing. If your speakers are pointed at each other, like my ones downstairs, I have them set up to where if I'm on the treadmill, I'm getting everything. And I got off the treadmill and I walked over, I don't know, off to the side to get a bottle of water. Sounded completely different because the music was going in another direction. I wasn't getting, so I was just like, wait, that's kind of, it was the middle of a song. So it's just like it kind of flipped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a big difference. So, yeah.
Hang on,
So,
let's not glaze over. You use a treadmill?
well, what I do is I throw the Doritos down to the end, and I just sit there. I wait for him to come down to me.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like if you just flick them, right? That's the only movement I got to do. To where if I'm eating them, I got to dig out of the bag. A lot of movement.
And so it's well, you're working for him.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really working. I'm just flicking them, and the belt brings them down to my mouth. I just lay there. Blah 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 blah.
It's like that Howling a Horror episode
Yeah.
on The Simpsons
Yeah.
when he goes to hell, and they
Yeah.
got his mouth, and they're feeding him, and you hear more.
More, please.
Yeah.
All right. So apparently, my life resembles a Simpsons episode too. Not long with
I mean,
Seinfeld.
yeah.
Hey,
If the shoe fits.
yeah. Used to know a girl who bartended but looked just like Mo. Uh yeah.
Hey, Homer.
I always said I wouldn't do her.
You and Marge ain't cousins, are ya?
But anyways, uh the bass line, so Call My Name, the bass line's during the second verse. So I wrote usually like the second verse, the piano is real prominent, and you usually always focus on that to where I'm suddenly hearing the bass lines along with that piano. So
Yeah.
that kind of stuck out. Obviously if you got a good stereo system, those sirens at the end will make you piss yourself a little bit if you're driving, so be careful. With Eddie, and again, like I said, there's all, and then one thing if you're out there listening to these and you notice stuff, post comments and let us know what you're hearing. The guitar solo, there's like guitar or keyboard, or it might be a combination, mixed both, but it's higher in the background. So where you hear the solo, you actually hear the rhythm behind it a lot more too. I
Yeah.
Listen to, I can't quite figure if it's guitar, keyboard, or a combination of both. If it's keyboard, he's trying to emulate more guitar sound, and in the studio don't matter, but maybe Jeff and Brad are there soloing. What's Fitz going to do? All right, I'm going to do this. You know, it's definitely not the bass. It's something else. And well, I can make this rhythm as almost like a guitar sound. So that's what I kind of noticed from that. So Can't Find Me a Thrill. So Can't Find Me a Thrill has that Hammond. I'm boring you guys.
No, I've just been up since 4:30 this morning. I'm just tired.
I can't imagine what our listeners are doing. They're probably not even doing something. They're
Well, if they're
probably
listening, they're not seeing it, so it
no,
doesn't matter.
they fell asleep. They're just waking up right now, going, motherfuckers are still talking
He's
about.
still talking about Jesus Christ.
So the one thing that was always kind of cool about Can't Find Me a Thrill is it has that Hammond organ sound. You don't hear it a lot, but dun, 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 and you kind of hear him hitting these elongated notes. And it's emulating. I don't know if he was using a Hammond organ or with a synthesizer emulating that sound, but coming out of the chorus, you kind of hear it. But I always thought I thought this song, because I've always said "Can't Find Me a Thrill" is a great song, but I thought production wise on Dawn Patrol it sounded thin. Like think about like Eddie and Night Ranger and Play Rough, like how crunchy and everything is. And I just always thought Can't Find Me a Thrill didn't have that crunchiness to. I don't know how else to describe it. I thought, well, this was the one song I was kind of looking forward to, and I really didn't notice anything that stood out besides a couple, like the Hammond organ. I wish they would have brought up even more in it, but whatever. um, Young Girl in Love. The thing I basically noticed with that is the bass is higher throughout the whole song. Just the bass just chugs along through it.
That's my one note on this particular song. The keys are really vibrant in the
Yeah.
I don't know the part. I mean, clearly I'm an idiot.
Yeah, make up your mind, losing all that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That part.
If you listen to it, like I had cranked in my car, so I had it turned up really loud. And it's like, man, that is really like you hear it in the back, you always hear it. But with this remaster, it's really there. It's very crisp. It's very clear.
Yeah, I guess I always thought it was keyboard heavy to begin with. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm looking for stuff beyond the keyboards. So maybe I didn't
well, it's
pick
just
that
like
up.
it's what jumped out at me. It's
Yeah.
like God, that's very clear sounding. It's like the remasters. You can distinctly hear all the sounds very well.
Yes,
And that's what I think is beautiful about it. Is like if
sounds
you're
like a whole band.
yeah, if you're a bass guy, you could hear Jack. You could definitely hear the bass line. And like I said, as Brent and I as drummers, I mean, I listen and I can hear Kelly, and it's just it's punched up and it's very wonderful to listen to. But the keys jumped out at me on this song just because I was driving, cranking it up, and I'm like, yeah, fucking fits, man.
Yeah, Play Rough. Again, I basically the acoustic chords are like higher than the plucking, right? So you always think of that, but right when they first start playing it, they hit a chord, another chord, and you hear that stuff ring out.
Yeah.
So it's got another enhancement to that acoustic part. Now, for the rest of the song, I think it's just louder, a little bit more punchier. You hear Jack more, which I've said on the rest of these, but and now where I was talking about with Can't Find Me a Thrill, I wanted that Hammond organ to be a little higher. The other song where they kind of do the Hammond organ sound was Penny. And if you I mean, especially in the verses, they bring that Hammond organ up. So you hear that Hammond organ a lot more during the verses than you do um in the regular mix. And it really, like, there's a part two, if you listen real close, you got really good speakers, and you turn it all the way up to 10 at the very beginning. I think it's Jack, it may be Kelly, but you hear them go before that first guitar lick, you hear them go, "This is for Ethel." And then they start playing Penny. You gotta have really good speakers, though.
That's a deep pull right there.
And they just legalized weed in Ohio, folks. So.
For those that don't get the inside joke, I remember, I forget, we were talking about songs. And I was like, I don't like Penny because even in 1982, who the fuck was named Penny? I was like,
Yeah.
it's like writing a song and just calling it Ethel. And dipshit over here is like, I was married to an Ethel in 1980. So, anyways, that's where
that's a nice deep pull right there.
No,
I'm sure she doesn't listen, so she'll never hear this.
Ethel, like, how did you scream that name in the sack? Like, oh fuck yeah, Ethel.
Never did. Always just everything was always babe.
Ethel. Oh god.
Yeah. What do you yell is, fill her up.
Ethel. Anyways, Eddie. So again, now with Eddie, if you got really good speakers and you crank it up, get the EQ right, a little bit 9, a little bit of 7 o'clock right there, it's kind of like that little G spot. You know what I mean? Probably don't. But if you get that, originally in the first mix, we thought that there were 8 crickets, but I'm here to tell you there are 10. 10 crickets in that opening Night Ranger little segue there. With them, doing their little thing. So 10 crickets instead of 8 at the beginning. So between the verse lines, there is a guitar lick. I got to think how it goes. I don't know who was in between though the verse lines. There's a guitar lick. I should have made better notes. That is either more prominent or I didn't pick up at first, but go back, listen to the guitar lick between the verse lines. That's what I wrote down. And the bass line is higher in the chorus. To where if I remember dun 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 Night Ranger, and when they do that, the Ranger, he hits this bass note and it rings out with them going Ranger, which was never up in the mix.
Right.
So it just gives it a little bit more of a boost. So that was one thing. I do remember, though I just wrote baseline higher in the chorus. I do remember it was that he hits that note right when they say Ranger, it rings out with. So, anyways, that is.
The sad thing is, most people, not most people, a lot of people, the way they listen to it, they just say, "Alexa, play Night Ranger."
Yeah, and again, I mean, listen.
Hold on. I forgot.
Do you have Alexa?
Yeah. Talking about the Contemporary Youth Orchestra. Alexa, stop. Hold on. Alexa, stop. Now, whoever's playing this, I've just activated theirs. That's great.
It's
true though. That's how a lot of people listen.
I tell you what, though,
Big Brother's listening, man.
I forget all about it.
I don't know if it's the newest. So I got 2 of those things. One's okay, but the other one I got, which I think is a newer version of it, it's got like the screen and like the screen and everything. It's not one of the little ones, but the speakers in it were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I was very surprised. But
Brent, can your Alexa hear me?
No, because I have this in.
Unplug it for a second.
I'm gonna say, well, could you hear her when she went off?
Yeah.
Alexa, make fart noises.
Listen, I got a 6-year-old. I've heard that mother. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
My kid will be like, Alexa, make 100 fart noises, and it will just go 100.
I'll just say, Alexa, eat a bag of dicks.
Oh, don't say that. This is a child's. This is supposed to be. This is supposed to be for children. You're saying Alexa, all that fucking shit.
Eat a bag of dicks.
All right. You guys, all right, let's get to this record here.
Alexa, stop.
All right, bunch of bags and wee talk. So Midnight Madness. Now, Brent, were you at the store ready to buy this when it first came out?
Oh yeah, I had it about a week or two after it came out, actually. Um, because I didn't know release dates real well back then, you know.
No, they may not
I
have known too well either because we still don't know when it was exactly
well,
released. But there's the back.
but no, I remember seeing the Rock in America video on MTV, and I went out and bought it like that week.
So there is pretty simple, just like the
When did I get it, Brent?
I
the
think you recorded it off me.
the tray is not there. The gorilla up there is Mark Newman, Tartech for Brad, and I think that's Bruce Cohn there, the astronaut, their manager. All right, so reissue credits. What do we got here? Anything new? Again, it's Jack Blaze, Kelly Kagi, Brad Gillis, John Van Ness. They do the uh the new interviews. We do know some of these names here on the original credits that they thank. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons. You remember those
Whoa!
Yep.
guys? Glenn
I remember I was
Hughes.
floored when I saw that when I was a kid.
You guys want to rock in America?
Glenn Hughes from Trapeze and Deep Purple and
Sabbath?
A lot of things.
did Sabbath. Yep. He sings the high notes on "You Still Rockin' America." I'm pretty sure they paid him in
Oh.
narcotics.
I feel like you told us that once before.
Yeah.
Jesse Harms, who keyboard player for Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we talked about this in the Kelly interview or if it's something later, but he was the keyboard player in Rags, which was Kelly's band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
in
we
San
talked about that.
Okay.
Hey, I have to step away for a second. I'll be right back. Just talk about me.
Sammy Hagar. And then Shuggy. Do we now know who Shuggy is? Shuggy is Jack's Blade's mother-in-law. So the booklet again. Now this time they got the right photo here. Midnight
But
Mass.
but not on the back. They have the Dawn Patrol photo.
Is that Dawn Patrol?
Yeah, it's
Um,
uh,
you got a picture here of Bradley playing the guitar. Again, they talk a little bit about,
maybe not.
With Rubicon and stuff, they talk about, Boardwalk Records and Dawn Patrol. You got Jeff Watson there. They talk a little bit about, with Boardwalk going under, how they got, the deal with MCA and they honored the Boardwalk contract. But they talk, a little bit about how MCA wanted them to go right back into the studio. I mean, this record was released less than a year, after Dawn Patrol. They probably could have got a little bit more out of Dawn Patrol, but again, MCA signs them. MCA wants, a record on their label.
Coincidentally, that back photo is from that.
Yeah. I was going to say, I didn't think it was a Dawn Patrol photo, but
I still think it's Dawn Patrol.
Well, it's probably from the era, just because anything taken before the Midnight Madness record's going to be.
Same with all those pictures,
But
that's Day on the Green, if I remember right.
Well, definitely the Jack one is, and the Brad and Kelly.
Yeah.
I would assume the other two are, but just kind of hard to tell there. So they talk here a little about, Glenn coming in to sing. They talk a little about writing You Still Rockin' America. They talk about Sister Christian. The real problem for Kegi, though, was getting the song's ending sorted out. So they talk about the stuff they had to do there to get that. Here's a shirtless Jack Blades for all the ladies out there.
Wow.
Yeah. Um,
Now, didn't they have some of this album already recorded when they recorded Dawn Patrol?
well, I don't know if they had it.
Or they had songs written. That's what it was.
They
I'm
had
sorry.
them demoed. They had,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you had Don't Let Him Run, and you had Sister Christian demoed. You had Diary of a Madman, which had some components of Touch of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, people have said they, not Night Ranger, but other fans like, well, half the album was written. There's nothing really documented out there from them, even in this, thing here that it was. I know for a fact You Can Still Rock in America was not. They have talked about it was after a show. Jack saw a magazine about Rock is Dead, and he wrote that, song in a hotel room, and I think he even says where it was. So that was after Dawn Patrol. Rumors in the air, there's nothing to say, that's never come up. Same with why does love have to change? None of that's ever come up during Dawn Patrol or anything like that. Sister Christian, we know that was demoed before Dawn Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
Touch of Madness, we know pieces of that are from another song, but it's more lyrically than music.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're really, it's like taking that song. To me, it's a new song, and he had a couple cool lines and he threw it in that. Passion Play, never thing. Um when you close your eyes, they talk about writing that in the studio. So, or not, yeah, I think writing, they're at a studio. So I don't think that's during Dawn Patrol, right? You're not going to have that studio time, to dick around. You're going to be recording what you've had on demos and there for a while. So that to me was written probably again for Midnight Madness. And there's an interview out there from Japan where they all talk. It's all five of them, and they talk about Fitz writing the chorus. Now you don't hear that anymore. You hear
Right.
stories of Jack playing on a piano and a producer hearing him. That's the story now. But I'm just saying it's all five of them. Early '84, right? Yeah, early '84, Japan, and it's all five of them, and they talk about that song, and they talk about Fitz bringing in that chorus. So, whatever. I don't know, but and then Chipping Away, we know Chipping Away was written at the very end because they needed another song. Kelly doesn't like it. That's already been in an interview somewhere, so that was not written. Now, Let Him Run is the other song. That was actually the first song I think Night Ranger ever wrote. I know they've all said that, but I know Jeff has said it really recently in an interview somewhere I wrote. So Let Him Run and Sister Christian. And maybe, I mean, I don't, I guess I can go back here to this first CD booklet and see what, I know they mentioned it. We had Name Ranger.
Well, I think what also helps, I guess, keep that thought or that rumor or whatever you would call it alive is that, sonically and lyrically, these two albums sound very similar.
Well, you got to remember,
Because it makes you get that feel that they were kind of all written in the same little time frame.
Well, they
because
were.
there's a big change when you go to Seven Wishes.
Well, they were.
I'm saying that's what kind of keeps that, like, maybe these songs were all written in one big, not all of them, but like some of these were held back to say, hey, you got to do a second album, put that on the second album.
You got to think they probably started really writing 1980, right?
Yeah.
81. Record in 82. Don't do a lot because remember, Brad's gone a lot of 82. They're trying to get a deal. Brad's gone. So you got 4 years. Well, really not even that. From 80 to the middle of 83, 80, 81, 82, middle of 83, 3.5 years.
Mhm.
All these songs were written and produced by the same guy. I think that's a big thing as well.
Hey, do me a favor, Josh. Get on your little blower there. Just text Jack and Kelly and just ask, like, just out of curiosity. I'm just us talking, guys. Just us. How many
Yeah.
songs were held over from Dawn Patrol to Midnight Madness? And
You know,
then
I
we'll
think,
have an exclusive right there.
You would get 3 different stories.
well, that's
That's
true.
that's
Yeah.
the
As
best
well.
part. Then we can
Um,
there's your side, my side, and there's a truth.
No,
um, now here's
I want to hear from you.
a cool part of the everything is you talk about Seven Wishes being really different. I remember I don't know again where it was at. It's recent though, talking to Jack about Seven Wishes. And I think it was maybe it was Kelly. I don't fucking know now. But they were talking about Pat's mixing of that record.
Of Seven Wishes.
Because they brought it up to him. And he was talking about how all the other music was out there. And he also talked about mixing it for radio. The mixing it for radio, I mean, I wish I think it was Jack, but I just remember mixing it for radio was what like
Was the phrase.
quoting Pat Glasser.
Yeah.
And now there's a story out there. It's been in interviews before. They got the the copy of the record that was going to be released when they were in Japan, and they did not like the mix. All right, that mix wasn't what they were expecting for Seven Wishes. But like I said, the part that I never really knew was, was Jack saying, bringing it up to Pat. Well, why does it sound like this? And he
Did he
told
go,
me,
you mean sounds awesome? Why does it sound awesome?
but I mean, it does sound different, but it was mixed for radio, and I mean, I don't know if you can really argue with him. I mean, it had 2 top 10 hits and a top 20 hit, and it was their biggest record sales wise. But
Yeah, well, and I was referring a lot more to not necessarily the sound, the sonic sound of it, but like the writing. I always looked at the first 2 albums as they were these great, dark, gritty, haunting, passion play, dark, south side of town, play rough, touch of madness, those type of things. And then you get to more of it seems a happier. Seven Wishes was kind of more,
well, I remember D.
and not in
Snyder.
a bad way. I'm just saying you can see there's a distinct difference in the the 3
Well,
albums.
D. Snyder, I think it was, once said, he talked about Twisted Sister, and he goes, it gets harder. He goes, I'm living in a shitty apartment with my wife.
Yeah.
I'm trying to feed my kids, right? You have different outlooks on life, and you're playing shitty clubs and dealing with shitty people. 5 years later, I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's hard to reconnect with that sometimes. Now, I don't really know, Night Ranger's the same way, but I would say one thing that has to do with that is what's the saying? You have your whole life to write your first
The
record.
first album. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those first 2 records were so back to back, and they did withhold 2 songs, right? Let Him Run and Sister Christian, to where you don't have to write as many, and you're doing it in such a short time. It's almost like all that is your first album, right? To where now you're touring constantly. All right, make this third record. I mean, we're lucky. I think we got a quality record like we did. You got 3. I mean, the amazing thing is, so many bands would have Sister Christian and When You Close Your Eyes, and would
Rest on that.
fade away after that.
Yeah.
We got 3 more big hits after that. I mean, I tell people the reason why Night Ranger really plays the places they do is because of that record, because it kept them in people's minds for another 2 years. I mean, Night Ranger was still on the charts in 1986 because of Goodbye. I mean, Goodbye was the last single. So, I mean, think how long they rolled MTV.
Yeah.
84, 85, 86. So I get what you're saying. I think
Yeah.
they attempted to do that. I just don't think it worked. This Boy Needs to Rock. I like it, It's not great.
Great song. What?
Night Machine.
Yes.
I like it. It's not great.
Welcome, welcome.
I love I Will Follow You, but if I was a producer, I would say I love that song. It's not going on the record. I can't have that song on there with Sentimental Street, Goodbye. I can't have all that. It's like now maybe they had a heavier song and it wasn't as good as Night Machine and This Boy Needs to Rock, which I said are just average, kind of, right? So maybe it's like, all right, well, fuck, I stop with that. I would just say, I mean, you don't know deadlines, right? You can't tell them go write
Yeah.
a fucking a rock song. I mean, Seven Wishes rocks, but it's not like a rocker. Um, even the rock songs, Faces, um, I Need a Woman. Like to me, like I Need a Woman is trying to get gritty, and it's just like a little bit too much, right? Now Kelly's vocals save that fucking song, but uh I you know
Yeah, but it doesn't have that, like I was saying, that feel of the
it
first two
doesn't
albums.
it
They
doesn't
have
it
a
doesn't have
dark
the it doesn't have that
overtone.
organic feel, right?
Right.
To me, it's like, oh, we need some heavy. We're really good at the ballads. We need to get some really heavy songs. And to me, like I Need a Woman, Night Machine, This Boy Needs to Rock. They don't cut it like Rumors, Eddie, those
Right.
songs, right? But I digress.
Yeah,
So
let's get back to that.
hey, shut the fuck up there, Turbo.
Hey,
Uh
I'm just trying to steer it back.
You're just trying to stay awake. So you still rocking America. First thing I noticed was the bass slide. Right, that was the Midnight Mass' first album I put in. So dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that
Usually
slide.
you just hear, the drums, but you hear the bass slide and you hear him going all the way
Mm,
down the fucking neck. Um, and then, Fitz keyboards obviously are higher, but especially the two bars going right into the chorus. Because usually you hear, rocket, 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 right? And then you kind of hear Fitz's keys, but you just kind of gloss over them. With this, it's rocket, 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 and then you hear dun, dun, you really hear him hit these two notes, and a little bit of sustain. Then you can still, so it's like there's a little gap in there, and you really hear what Fitz is playing. I just
Well, to
all
echo
right.
that, you
Yep.
hear, yeah, I'm choking. I'm dying. I'm dying over here.
I got a
Uh,
guy choking on pepperoni and a guy choking.
I just have no lung capacity. Um, the keys that Eric played us that on in the keys that want that when he's kind of mimicking the guitar, but da 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 da. It's so prominent. And Brent, I'll tell you, if you haven't done it, and this, I almost called you. You listen to Rocket America, you get towards the end when they're just, you can still rock it, just playing the chorus out. Listen to Kelly riding the cymbal.
mhm.
Okay, so you think he's just riding you, da 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 da, just eighth notes, right? Every now and then he's like ting 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 ting. Just listen, and you could hear his ride so brilliantly. And again, for you and me, I'm like, God, that's awesome because you just think when you, especially if you're learning a song, you just oh, he's just riding eighth notes, and da na na na. But if you listen close, he's bouncing the stick a little bit here and there, and it's there. Now you would have never heard it, but this remaster,
Yeah.
it's so rich and it brings it up. And I was like, I made a note, like, make sure you bring that up when you're talking about this specific song because it caught me on that massive cool stereo system in my Chevy Cruze. Nothing but
There's
GM's best.
Now there is a song up here that I mentioned some drums on, so it'll be interesting to see um what you got to say about it. But Rumors, um
Perfect song.
like the opening when it kicks in now before the verses, but like it starts out with Brad's guitar, and then it kicks in, and you got Fitz and the guitar and the bass. Like I almost swore I heard like a second keyboard like
Huh.
line in there, very faint. But I listened to it again. I listened to it on the other stereo system, and I still don't know if I'm just hearing shit. It seems like there's something else there, but
It's
anyways.
something he's doing with his other hand, you know.
Well, that's what I thought, but to me, I don't think it is. It's almost like I don't know. I need to talk to Levy.
Text Eric real quick.
Yeah, Levy ain't gonna fucking know. And then the guitar scats on the especially on the second verse.
You can hear that pick and
Yes,
subtle.
it's just like when Jack's singing, you just hear it's like a little
Just a
scat.
little groove.
Yeah, it's just I call it like vocal scats, but it's with a guitar. But those are really prominent. And then Jack's bass line, number one, throughout this whole song is enhanced. And some of Jack's best bass playing that you could hear in the original mixes was this song. So it's even more prominent. But Jack's bass line coming out of the solo into that third verse is just phenomenal. It's like shit. Like I've heard it before, but I've never heard it like this.
Mhm.
Well, also it showcases Jack because I think Jack always gets kind of pigeonholed as just like a one-note bass player, just hammering a note.
Mm.
But if you listen closely, you can actually hear he's playing bass lines and he's very
Well,
good. And we know from Rubicon how good he really is.
You got to remember, you got two guitarists there that are phenomenal, and when they can play great rhythms, and then you got Fitz, right?
Yeah.
So what if you didn't have Fitz? I think Jack would be more all over the place. So Jack just lays a groove that dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun. That literally is the bass line for the verses. Used to call
Yeah.
me by my first name. Dun 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 dun. That's just Jack back here. That's why you can use a thumb pick for
But
that
it's
shit.
nice because it's fat and it just lays there, kind of like Josh.
Hey,
Oh,
go give me that Dorito treadmill.
Yeah.
I'll be here all night.
So why does love have to change? One of the best songs that Jack Blades ever wrote to Kelly Kegi sang. Fits in the verses again. That's enhanced, especially during the second verse. And then like the bridge, I guess maybe going into the solo, as I take another drag off a cigarette. That part, what I'm talking about. The
Mhm.
guitar in the background is playing a cool riff that I've never really picked up on. So just that, hearing that, like, holy shit, that's been going on the whole time, and I
Yeah.
haven't paid attention, but because it's a really cool. Wait, no, that's
That's a different song.
yeah, no, hold on, why does love have to change? Hold on. That's a cool part too. That's chipping away, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like,
But
wait a minute.
well, they do the same thing. It's the same thing. Why does love have to change? It's a little bit, usually what happens is you have verse, chorus,
Yeah. It's
solo.
when Kelly's singing.
But in why does love have to change and chipping away? It goes verse, chorus, bridge. It kind of leads into the solo. They do like God damn it. What's the
Well, you got the great riff too. That dun 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 dun
Well,
dun 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 dun.
But you got when they stop singing and it gets ready to go into the guitar solo.
yeah,
And they're
it's
both.
yeah. Well, it's right
oh my
before that.
God.
It's the
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's a hard way to go.
Yeah, that part.
To the left when the feelings
Yeah.
show. That part. You kind of always heard that guitar in the background, just doing but there's a lot more to it in
Mhm.
this mix. So that's the part that I like. I don't know if bridge is the proper term for that, but just leading into that solo was very prominent.
But
Sister Christian.
you could distinctly hear the two different tones in those guitars at the same time.
Oh, I mean the solos
It's
phenomenal.
amazing.
But to me, like the guitars on that song were always prominent. So it's just
But
even
you can
better.
really hear it. It's like you're in the room with them.
Well,
at that
speaking
point.
of it being in the room, Sister Christian, the dun 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 dun, very beginning, like you used to me, you always heard the notes, but you never heard like the echoes, right? Like after you hit the note and you let it sit for, a
Yeah.
second or two, like you really hear that, and it's almost like you're in the room. So that opening part of Sister Christian, and then the build up, that dun 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 dun, like when that kicks in, it's already a fucking awesome. But great speakers in this new remastered. It's just fucking coming out at you.
Yeah.
And then the bass line in the chorus to me has been brought up a lot to where it's like, holy shit, that's a whole new element. So the bass line in the chorus, and then at the very end, dun 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 dun, Sister Christian all the time, and the guitar, wails. Say, but you're motoring, yeah, motoring. And the very last note that piano plays, I swear, John Van Ness or whoever fucking turns that up. That
Okay.
last note, because you hear the piano, dun 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 dun. That note right there, just to me, is so much higher than the
Pushes it.
rest.
Yeah.
Yep. And like you can almost like feel Fitz hitting the damn key, right? I don't know. It's just I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking on crack, but I do have a podcast on Night Ranger, so the evidence is probably convincing of that. Touch of Madness,
Perfect song.
the beginning riffs. We talked about the spooky sounds, right? Eric Levy was on one of the great episodes we had where he's like, he's talking about the spooky sounds behind the verses of Touch of Madness. And it's something like maybe subliminal, you always knew was there, but then after Eric mentions it, right? It's all I
Yeah,
fucking hear.
You
is
hear it. Yeah.
spooky sounds. So I'm expecting like the dun 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 dun, dun. Maybe before they get to the verses, like the keys will be brought up. I was actually surprised that it wasn't. So it's one of the things it wasn't there. But the spooky sounds during the verses, if you never heard them before, you're going to hear them now. So just listen to the verses. You hear these, synthesizer noises, as Eric calls them, spooky sounds. And then in the solo, the keyboard, you got that awesome Touch of Madness solo. The keyboard is back there doing the rhythm. And you can actually hear him holding the notes out more, not just playing the notes, but holding the notes out. So they brought that up. And then at the end, there's that awesome Brad Gillis guitar solo. To me, it had a lot more bite. But then the bass, you actually hear Jax playing a lot more at the end, to where I was, kind of like, shit, I didn't know all
Yeah.
that was there either.
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest ones, I know a lot of people like the song Passion Play, the wind.
Yeah.
You hear the wind more,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear it longer in the song because it does go down in volume, but it's already so low in the mix that you think it ends a little bit before that it does. So in this, that wind actually continues almost until Jack starts singing. But yeah, that the wind, if you got a good set of speakers, you think you're in Wizard of Oz or something,
Yeah.
So that was, really interesting. And right before the verse starts, there's either guitar feedback or a keyboard note that made me turn my head at my, I was on the treadmill, I looked over because I heard that and I'm like, I've never heard that before. And it's a real high note. It's just a single note. I need to go back and try it. I listened to it again. I couldn't figure it out if it was guitar feedback or like a note on the keys. But it's right before Jack starts singing. You'll hear this one note, and it's just extremely loud compared to how it was.
Okay.
But it almost sounds like feedback, like enough to where I was like,
Yeah.
did something happen over there? Again, the bridge, the keyboards, and the guitar plucking. You hear him actually playing individual notes on the guitar, to where I think I was kind of way in the background. And then the solo, I just, again, Jack's bass is higher, so you hear, I don't know who's the guitarist. Is that Jeff on Passion Play? But whoever, you hear behind there,
Yeah.
you hear a little bit more of the bass. And then when you close your eyes, that opening riff, I mean, it's such a
Oh,
great opening
Yeah.
riff.
It's
And but the symbol is just so
uh,
ting,
but
ting, the
It's
rise.
right there.
but
Yeah.
to me, I'm actually hearing Jack play. to that opening riff. So like Jack's playing really came out. And then the second part of the first verse. So the first verse, it's a little bit softer, right? What do you do when it's falling apart? And then it kind of kicks in a little bit. When it kicks in, listen to the guitar. There, you always focus on Jack's, voice, and strangely enough, on the original version, more of the keyboards, right?
Yeah.
But there's some guitar plucking on that second part, and you just hear, yeah, I would assume Brad, but maybe Jeff, um, doing some individual notes on the guitar. And I'm sure there's guitarists out here that are watching and will listen. They can tell us a little bit more what's going on once they listen to it. But like I said, when I say plucking, I mean they're not playing power chords.
Right there.
It's not a solo. It's them doing just some small individual notes. Now this was
Basically stuff they don't need to do, but they're doing it anyway.
yeah, it's just a little bit, enhancement, and it, to me, it was a little bit lower in the mix, and you're just so into Jack's voice, and Fitz is really the one keeping the rhythm that you kind of don't hear it in that original mix, but this time it's brought up. And this was the one I had a little bit of drums. So the drum crash going into in that first part of the chorus, I just felt so and I felt it was more the second chorus. It's like to me the drum crash, dun dun dun. I don't know if I can't remember if it was more into like the Chevrolet part. I feel so much today. Dun 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 dun. I don't, somewhere in there, it just seemed like, and I listened to it like for the third verse, and it didn't seem as prominent. Now I went back and listened to it again. I'm like, am I hearing shit? You know what I mean? Like, but to me, it was the second verse. So it's kind of like one of those things where, okay, maybe it's kind of like you don't hear it as much in the original mix, but um, you know, if you're doing this for radio, nice and smooth for the first chorus, right? Really hit it home in the second chorus, and then the third chorus, you're taking it home, nice and slow again out. So I don't know. It just seems like the crash sound, wasn't as prominent during the first and third, choruses, especially the third. It seems like you can hit a crash and it can ring for a while, right? Depending on how you got everything set up. To me, it's like you hit the crash, especially during the third chorus. You hit it, and almost immediately that sound's gone.
Right.
Right.
That's what a crash does. That's your
Well,
ride cymbal,
Well, it's not a ride. I don't know what, maybe what, but where you hit a crash and sometimes it can
It
echo out.
rides out. Yeah.
Yeah. To where in this, especially to me, like it rides out and is a little bit heavier in the second verse. And the third verse, it's like
just
you
in and out.
hit it, it does it, and it's like it's gone.
Yeah.
So you guys can be the judge of that.
Sorry, excuse me.
And
pepperoni.
and then what's cool is at the end you get to hear some of the greatest alternate lines of a Night Ranger song. When you close me behind. I don't know what's cool about it, right? I mean,
It's when you go to sleep at night.
No, when you close me behind. Yeah.
I always
Well, I don't know. I think it could be anything. I mean,
it's when you go to sleep at night. Do you dream about
maybe
me?
it is, but also
I know it is.
Well,
and then when you close your big brown eyes,
well, they got that's green eyes.
It's big brown eyes.
It's green eyes. Anyways,
oh, big. Close your big blue.
No, blue green,
eyes.
No, see, he.
I think it's brown.
It's green.
When you close
your big brown eyes. Yeah. Do you still dream when you're up, when you're down, when you're wild? Do you dream? Yeah.
No, sing it again, Brent. I got you,
when you close your big
singing.
Yeah, but that's what I always drove me crazy about that song, because they're still singing it as it's fading out, and I want it to end like it does in the concert, because I always wondered what else would it.
Yeah. She closes her big green eyes. Now speaking of closing songs, I only
coming from a guy who says Boba Fett.
I
I had to think about it.
um I didn't go back and listen to it, so maybe I'm just imagining things, but you know how songs kind of fade out, right? Chip It Away, I swear it kind of fades out, but then it just dropped off. And I'm like, I don't know if I ever noticed that before. Like, Chipping Away is another song that fades out, but if you listen to it, like, when you close your eyes, it has a real nice fade.
Mm-hmm.
And like to me, like Chipping Away. So I had to go back and look at it. Maybe I was just doing something else, or the dog was pissing me off or something. But speaking of Chipping Away, Jack's bass thundering uh through that song is probably the biggest enhancement. And the keyboards during the solo um is probably the biggest enhancement I've heard on that. And then Let Him Run. Um the synth notes are higher to where usually you're always hearing that acoustic guitar, that acoustic little riff. Well, uh Fitz is kind of playing a little bit of, the filler. And I think it was obviously lower in the mix, and I think you're obviously listening to Kelly and the guitar a little bit more, but the parts that Fitz is playing is a little bit higher. And then I noticed the bass notes during the chorus was higher, which is kind of, on par for everything else. And then listen to the outro. The very last, the very end, there's a bass
Mm-hmm.
note. Um, and again, I think it's kind of like Sister Christian, where I said that they kind of ended it, track, side A with that piano note, and they really pumped it up. There's a bass note at the very end of Let Him Run, and you distinctly hear it. Like the song's playing, and then all of a sudden that last note it's just one note hits, and you can feel it in the room a little bit. Like, all right, they turned that up a
Yeah, a
little
little
bit
bit.
just for that last note of the song on the last song of the album. So it'll be interesting what other people think. Maybe I'll post my notes somewhere and people can tell me I'm crazy. Because you think sometimes, like, am I just hearing shit? Right? Am I wanting to
Yeah.
hear shit? I don't know. I definitely wanted to hear you and Andy sing there, Brent. It was like I had my own little Jack Blades and Kelly Kagi there.
The tone deaf twins.
Exactly. Yeah. I need
Yeah.
auto tune just to speak.
The only thing that
Oh.
made it better is if you guys are both singing it, had your finger in your ear trying to
Come on.
get
When you
the.
close
Hold
those
on.
big brown eyes.
Oh, baby, do you still dream about me? When you're up, when you're down, when you're wild.
All right, ladies, you wanted them. Here they are.
Yeah.
3 overweight, slightly balding men. One has pepperoni in his
And
esophagus.
we all had the same shirt on.
Yeah.
We all got the memo.
Yeah. And hey, listen, if you pay for you need to go to the fans
The-
in motion, only fans in motion.
Oh, the
Oh,
takeaway,
Yeah.
the takeaway
Christ.
to rock candy CDs
The only fans in motion.
is that
Wow.
you're going to get what you expect out of it.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it back in. It's going to go somewhere really dark.
Yeah. We're gonna see it has the best pancake nipple.
It is going to really surprise you. You will hear things that you didn't expect to hear.
They just did.
Yeah, Josh hears green eyes, so
Well, what was the other verse he said we're on?
What was I said? As you
When you go to sleep at
I
night.
did just listen to
no.
it. He does say brown eyes. If you
No,
want
it's
to
green eyes.
It's brown eyes, and
Pull it
when
up
you
on
go
your
to
phone right
it's
now.
when you
We'll
go
talk.
to sleep.
Listen.
What did you say? Go to sleep. It's go to sleep at night.
I got Brent to sing the entire last course because he thought it was green eyes. And you know what's funny is I'm pretty sure he sang blue eyes too. You sang
Brent
blue
did?
eyes, yeah. You sang
Yeah, but
blue eyes.
it's brown eyes.
Brown eyes.
It's green. It's green lavender.
But you said but I said when you
When
go
you
to sleep at night,
I
and you said it's
Close-
what?
close. I think it was. When I say close, hold on.
Just pull it up and listen to it real quick.
When you go to sleep at night.
There's
No,
absolutely-
now you got me.
about
Now you
me.
got me singing
there's
that.
proof right here. All you can do is just listen to it.
Well, let me pull up the.
You got to get to the about 10 seconds left in the song. You'll hear it.
Yeah, it
Put
says.
the live version on. You'll hear a bunch of. Or
Yeah, it's when you go to sleep at night.
I know.
And then it says big green eyes. I just showed it to you.
That don't mean it's right.
No, it's
Right there,
green.
you just said it.
It's green eyes. So your green blue eyes.
Just listen to it. I don't care what the paper says.
Listen, I know it's fucking brown. I'm fucking with you. Christ. Um, but and I always thought that. Well, I think Brent, you just said it like when you close your big brown eyes, that would be like, why wasn't that somewhere more in the song?
Right.
Because it's something you look.
It's building at the end.
It's
Yeah.
like a
still
throwaway
building.
thing at the end. You're
Yeah.
like, that was never mentioned. I need more to
Yeah.
this story, Jack.
Because I remember the first time I heard that, I think it was live on TV when I heard him do it live.
And
I'm
I
like,
always-
well,
and I always-
that's different.
I always wondered too, like, just knowing my relationships, right? Like, you write that song and you come home and, Molly's there. She gets the record. Who the fuck is Angie? It's just a name. Yeah, I bet it was, wasn't it? Well, no, it was just a name. Huh? Who the fuck had brown eyes? You don't like my, like,
Penny.
yeah. So he's probably, hey, listen, we got to tone down that brown eyes.
Yeah, let's change
You,
something.
you know who, you know who didn't worry about that conversation was Doug Feiger of the Knack with My Sharona. Didn't care that he was screwing his best friend's wife or girlfriend. Told everybody.
Well, just real quick, what threw me off there just a second ago, Josh, is when you mentioned Molly, my second ex-wife is named Molly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the fuck, was he there when we had these conversations?
Yeah.
You're throwing me off, man. I forgot Jack's wife is Molly.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
times.
Good stuff.
Good times. I'm the Ross of this group, by the way.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's right. You don't watch Friends.
Ross
Never mind.
Valerie? Ross Valerie of Journey?
I wish.
No.
I wish I could get kicked
Well,
out of Journey.
we know who the Steve Perry is over there, Mr. Brent Pipes Walter.
Oh, I don't want to be Steve
Pipes.
Perry. Steve Perry, I don't. Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta
He's
see
the
it.
Steve Aguilera.
I'll go. See,
Jerry.
maybe I can be John Cocaine.
Shit.
Got cramp. Oh yes, it's there. It's been 2 years since he left.
Get back here. Bring those big brown eyes back.
Here we are cheering on the cramp. I'm muting my mic so I can hear him.
At least bring it back over where we can hear you and see you. This is bullshit, Andy.
Remember the first time that ever happened?
People love that. We need to have this more often. If you would just hydrate. I mean, look, see, like here, hydrate the whole fucking time.
I absorbed the pepperoni. I think it's gone, but
You guys are both. Sit down. We can't see you.
Oh my god. Are you flexing when you're doing that? Okay. Are you flexing it and tightening it up and screwing up?
Well, what got him going was he's talking about his ex-wives, Penny and Molly, and
Yeah.
you look flushed.
God. Hang on.
You all right there, Turbo?
Damn.
Oh,
That hasn't
God,
happened in a long. I got to stand up. I can't sit down. Son of a bitch.
Do us a favor. Do it for your listening fans. Sit down.
I
Are we-
can't.
Just try it. Just try it.
I'm gonna flop in. I got a drum set right next to me. I'm gonna hit my head on the damn thing.
Well, we'll talk about how remastered it sounds, and
God.
like you can really hear that crash.
Holy
Jo-
shit.
I told Josh, I said, I'm going to mute my mic so we can hear him scream into the background.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever deal with that, but fuck, it just came up.
I'll get it when I'm sleeping every now and then.
I haven't had that happen since the original days of the podcast.
That was like, I said, it's taken 2 years to get another one.
Oh my God. I can't sit like that. Like I'm sitting with, like I have my legs tucked up under my chair here.
Do it again.
Then I'm trapped. So I flip.
So listen,
Anyway, it's brown eyes.
you need to get on a treadmill, and
I
then
just eat.
and then do this. No cramps.
I just eat my Doritos right out of the bag. I don't even fucking act like I'm exercising.
Yeah, Doritos,
Huh.
such a metabolism killer, but so fucking good. Now I have found with Doritos if you just go back in time and just get the regular nacho cheese,
Yeah.
they're not laced with cocaine because apparently, like the purple bag, those motherfuckers, like you can't stop. Fucking whatever that purple flavor is, man.
Is that the taco? No, it's not taco.
That's
What
like
is that?
spicy chili, maybe.
Spicy
Brent knows.
nacho. No, I
Yeah, even the spicy nacho ones, it's like you can't put down. And then you get like the regular nacho cheese one that as a kid we all fucking loved, right? It's like almost eating cardboard. It's like, where's that fucking cocaine taste or whatever they put in? So
the best is when you get the one at the bottom that's been sitting in the tumbler collecting all the dust.
God, I've never seen that look in Brent's eyes.
And
It
you
gla-
pull
gla-
it
gla-
out.
glazes
There's like-
over.
And you pull it out and you can
Ah.
see it and you know it's gonna coat your tongue.
Yeah,
Oh
his wife's gonna walk in with him with a coated Dorito Jack in it.
yeah.
Ah.
Whoa.
What does that Dorito have that I don't?
Nacho dust.
Why is your dick all orange?
But
Again.
yeah. So Doritos are bad, but if you want to stop eating the Doritos, just get the bland regular flavors.
I thought you were left-handed.
Cocaine and Doritos. They treat you the same.
Yeah, they do.
They set you up for a nightlife.
With the green eyes. All right. Well, so
Dorito.
all right. If you're still listening, we appreciate it.
I gotta piss.
I gotta go
may-
hit the treadmill. Apparently, I gotta walk this off.
You have as many issues as we do. So listen, go to the Facebook page, join Fans in Motion. There's actually some people out there that find us on YouTube and don't know about the Facebook page. Almost 10,000 members. So join and be the 10,000th, and you will win a free subscription to the only Fans in Motion page. Yeah.
More hot Dorito talk and less cramping.
Oh, we
right.
gotta leave the episode off with Andy just screaming and getting up and running away.
But also we
hurts.
got the Instagram out there. Go find us on the old Instagram. But then there was something wrong with the website. So I'm an episode behind on like the Spotify and the Zoomify and iTunes and all that stuff. So but we're all the episodes are there. Go to fansinmotion.com. All the episodes are there as well. If you want, we still got a few of these white Fans of Motion shirts. If you want to show your loyalty, there's Brent's Kiss Alive 2 logo.
Hey, you know we got plenty of, Josh? I'll send them up to you. Plenty of the Rockin' Pod Fans in Motion stickers.
Well, listen, we're going to need them, so Brent, keep them around. But we got
The next
you-
Rocket Pod is not until 2025, by the way.
Oh, well, these are
Yes.
definitely gonna be outdated.
But what else? What do we got? But yeah, go Fans of Motion Facebook. You get more Night Ranger than you ever needed. And if you're out there listening, go leave a comment on the YouTube. Go subscribe to YouTube, number one. But leave a comment on YouTube or on the Facebook post of what, if you got these, what you hear, what's different. You may say, hey, you guys are fucking full of Dorito dust, and I
You
don't
guys are
hear
fucking high on your own
jack.
stash.
And Charlie horses.
I don't hear
Yeah.
shit.
Oh,
And
God.
they'll even hold up their little ghetto blaster, and say, listen, I don't hear nothing.
Be like In Your Eyes, man, from Say Anything.
So there you go. Join us next week as we take a deep dive into George Jones and Merle Haggard, CC Waterback from the album Taste of Yesterday's Wine. Really good.
My favorite episode that we've ever done.
That's a really good fucking record, by the way. But all right, Brent, say goodbye.
Next week we'll break these down. Oops,
We
it just-
can't
Can't
see
see
it.
it.
God dang it!
I see Kiss, and that's it. I see Gene and Paul.
All right, that's Brent's goodbye. Andy, say goodbye.
Bye.
I can do my Don Dockin
We're going to Hawaii! Yay!
I got
when he
mail.
says on the Don
You got
Doc
mail? I got mail.
on the Herman's a German solo
I got
album. There's a song
cramps.
called "I'll Say Goodbye" that Don Dockett sings. He goes, "I'll say goodbye,
How was that again?
bye."
All right, on that note.
I was trying to get you a clean one there, Josh.
Later.
Run for your life, there's a movie.